The celestial majesty glided through the starlit void, its crystalline hull refracting light into 1,000 iridescent patterns. Queen Vexara stood at the viewport, her silver-green skin luminescent against the darkness of space. Golden curls cascaded down her back, interwoven with ceremonial jewels that marked her royal status among the Thraxi people. Beyond the glass lay the vast expanse of the Orion Nebula, neutral territory where, tomorrow, she would sign a historic peace treaty with the Earth Alliance. "Your Radiance," announced Commander Drell, her chief of security, "will be clearing the asteroid field in approximately 20 minutes. All systems report normal operation." Vexara nodded, her four-fingered hand adjusting the intricate collar of her ceremonial dress. "And our guest in the brig." "The human remains secured, Your Radiance. He's shown no resistance since his transfer to our custody." The Queen's violet eyes narrowed. "I still question the wisdom of transporting a convicted traitor on the same vessel carrying me to peace negotiations. Earth Alliance insisted we take custody as a show of good faith. Commander Blackwood's trial has become something of a political flashpoint for them." Vexara turned from the viewport. 6 cycles of war with humans had left deep scars on her people. Now, as the youngest queen in Thraxi history, the burden of peace fell to her. "I trust your security precautions, Commander." Deep below the royal chambers, in the dimly lit confines of the brig, former Earth Alliance Commander Thorn Blackwood tested the strength of his restraints for the 100th time. His muscular frame was hunched against the wall, wrists bound by energy shackles that pulsed with blue light. 3 weeks of imprisonment had left his dark hair unkempt and a thick beard covering his jaw, but his green eyes remained sharp, observant. He'd been framed, sent to die in Thraxi custody for a crime he didn't commit. His warnings about corruption within Alliance leadership had earned him a conviction for treason and this one-way trip to a Thraxi detention colony. The ship lurched suddenly, throwing him against the cell wall. The lights flickered once, twice, then went red. Emergency klaxons wailed throughout the vessel. "What the hell?" Thorn muttered, pulling himself upright. A distant explosion shook the ship, then another, closer. The unmistakable sounds of weapons fire echoed through the metal corridors. Thorn pressed his face against the small window of his cell. Down the hallway, he glimpsed a guard rushing past, only to be cut down by a blast of energy that left a smoldering hole in his chest. A boarding party. Pirates, most likely. The Orion Nebula was notorious for them. The ship rocked again, more violently this time. The power fluctuated, and for a brief moment, Thorn's energy shackles winked out. It was enough. He rolled his wrists, a trick learned during Special Forces training, and slipped one hand free before the restraints reactivated. The sound of combat grew closer. Through his cell window, Thorn spotted 3 figures moving with military precision down the corridor. Their armor was a patchwork of different military styles painted blood red, the mark of the Crimson Fang pirates, the most ruthless marauders in the sector. One pirate paused outside his cell, a draconian with scaled skin and yellow eyes. "Well, well," the creature hissed, "what have we here? A human in Thraxi chains." Thorn kept his freed hand hidden. "Just a prisoner, no one important." "Captain says no witnesses." The draconian raised his weapon. Thorn's hand shot forward, grabbing the barrel through the feeding slot and yanking it hard against the bars. The draconian's face smashed into the door. Thorn twisted the weapon, breaking the pirate's wrist with a sickening crack before pulling the blaster through the slot. 2 quick shots later, the other pirates lay dead, and Thorn had used the blaster to short-circuit his cell's locking mechanism. As he stepped into the corridor, emergency lighting casting red shadows across the walls, Thorn faced a choice: find an escape pod and save himself, or help defend the ship that was carrying him to imprisonment. An announcement crackled over the intercom system. "This is Admiral Vorg of the Crimson Fang. Your shields are down, your engines disabled. Surrender the Thraxi Queen and the rest may live." Thorn's jaw tightened. Politics and false accusations aside, he was still an Alliance officer sworn to protect civilian lives, even Thraxi ones. And if the pirates captured a planetary monarch, the fragile peace negotiations would collapse. He stripped the dead pirates of their weapons and armor, wincing as the ill-fitting pieces settled over his prison jumpsuit. Above him, the sounds of battle intensified. He had to move quickly. "Hold on, Your Majesty," Thorn muttered, checking the charge on his stolen blaster. Help is coming from the last place you'd expect. With determined strides, he headed toward the upper decks, following the sounds of chaos that would lead him to the Queen, and to a destiny neither of them could have imagined. The royal chambers lay in ruins when Thorn arrived. Bodies of Thraxi guards littered the floor, their silver blood pooling beneath elaborate armor. He moved cautiously, blaster raised, following a trail of destruction. A flash of movement caught his eye, a slender figure in torn ceremonial robes backing away from three advancing pirates. Queen Vexara's golden curls were disheveled, her silver-green skin marred by a cut across her cheek. She wielded a guard's ceremonial blade with surprising skill, but was clearly outmatched. 3 against 1, poor odds, Thorn called out, drawing the pirate's attention. For them, I mean. His blaster fired twice in rapid succession, dropping 2 attackers before they could turn. The third charged him with a vibro blade. Thorn sidestepped, using the pirate's momentum to send him crashing into a wall before finishing him with a precise shot. Vexara regarded him with suspicious violet eyes, blade still raised. You wear their colors, human, but you are not one of them. Commander Thorn Blackwood, your majesty, former Earth Alliance, current resident of your brig. He offered a mock bow, and currently your best chance at survival. The traitor, recognition dawned on her face. Why would you help me? A distant explosion rocked the ship. Thorn glanced at the corridor. Can we debate my motives after we escape the exploding ship full of murderous pirates? After a moment's hesitation, she nodded. The emergency command center is 2 decks above us. Too risky, they'll have control of main areas by now. Thorn retrieved weapons from the fallen pirates. We need the maintenance tunnels, escape pods in Section 14. How do you know our ship's layout? Suspicion edged her voice. Standard Thraxi cruiser design. I studied it extensively during the war. He offered her a smaller blaster. Can you use this? She took it with a grimace. I was first in marksmanship at the Royal Academy. They entered the narrow maintenance tunnel, forced to move in single file through the cramped space. Thorn led, navigating the labyrinthine passages with practiced ease. Why were you imprisoned? Vexara asked after they'd put distance between themselves and the royal quarters. I discovered evidence of corruption within Alliance High Command, officials selling military secrets, arranging accidents for political rivals. He paused at a junction, checking for movement. When I brought it forward, I became the next accident, framed for treason. You expect me to believe? I expect you to survive, Your Majesty. Belief can come later. They fell silent as voices echoed through a nearby passage. Thorn pulled her into a narrow service alcove, their bodies pressed uncomfortably close. Vexara's breath quickened, her skin emanating subtle floral scents and warmth that seemed to penetrate his borrowed armor. 3 pirates passed without noticing them. When they'd gone, neither moved immediately. Your kind feels warmer than I imagined, she whispered, an unexpected vulnerability in her voice. And yours smells better, he replied with a half-smile. Their eyes met in the dim emergency lighting, recognition passing between them, 2 beings from worlds apart, suddenly dependent on each other for survival. Something shifted between them, fragile and indefinable. This alliance is temporary, she stated, as if reminding herself. Of course, Your Majesty, Thorn agreed, though something in his tone suggested uncertainty. Temporary is still better than dead. As they continued through the ship's arteries, the sounds of battle echoed all around them. Both knew their odds were slim, yet together they pressed forward, the disgraced human and the alien queen, bound by circumstance and the growing sense that their meeting was somehow more than mere chance. They've disabled the escape pods, Vexara announced, examining the control panel. Systems are locked out. Thorn slammed his fist against the wall. We need a new plan. Surrender is not an option, she stated flatly. The Crimson Fang are known for creative executions of royal captives. A noise from the corridor caught their attention. Thorn raised his weapon, but lowered it when a wounded Thraxi officer stumbled into view. Lieutenant Krell, Vexara rushed forward, supporting the bleeding officer. Your Radiance, he rasped. Thank the ancestors you live. There are others, a dozen crew members barricaded in the secondary engine room. Thorn's eyes lit with possibility. Engine room means access to ship systems, maybe weapons control. A counterattack? Vexara looked skeptical. With 13 crew against what could be 50 pirates. Sometimes the best defense is a completely reckless offense, Thorn grinned. Trust me, I was court-martialed for it. Using service tunnels, they reached the engine room without detection. The surviving crew, engineers, medical staff, and 3 security officers looked at Thorn with suspicion until Vexara vouched for him. The pirates have control of the bridge and all major systems, reported Chief Engineer Daxos, his bony ridges flushing purple with stress. But they've overlooked the auxiliary control circuit in this section. Thorn studied the ship's schematics. We can access environmental controls from here, and if we reroute power from the starboard batteries. We could trigger emergency containment protocols in selected sections, Vexara finished his thought. Trap them. Their eyes met again, a moment of perfect understanding passing between them. Exactly what I was thinking, Your Majesty. Working together, they formulated a plan. While Vexara and the engineers would manipulate ship systems, Thorn would lead the security team to recapture key junctions. Before departing, Vexara pulled Thorn aside. Commander, this plan is insane, desperate. I was going to say ingenious, she corrected, a smile briefly transforming her regal features. For a human. Some of us are full of surprises. The counterattack began with precision. Targeted sections of the ship suddenly lost atmosphere or gravity, disorienting the pirates. Security barriers activated, splitting the invaders into isolated groups that Thorn's team eliminated one by one. During a firefight near the communications array, Thorn spotted the massive figure of Admiral Vorg himself, a scarred Centaurian with cybernetic enhancements gleaming along his jaw. Vorg saw him too, eyes narrowing with recognition despite the pirate armor Thorn wore. The human prisoner, Vorg growled. Interesting. Before Thorn could react, Vorg fired. The blast caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. As he fell, he saw Vorg advancing on Vexara, who had just emerged from a connecting corridor. Despite searing pain, Thorn lunged forward. The vibroblade meant for the Queen's heart pierced his abdomen instead. Thorn, Vexara's cry seemed distant as he collapsed. Through fatting consciousness, he watched her dispatch Vorg's bodyguards with remarkable efficiency, forcing the Admiral to retreat. Then her face appeared above his, concern etched across alien features that somehow now seemed familiar. Stay with me, Commander, she commanded, applying pressure to his wound, her hands warm against his skin. Not going anywhere, Your Majesty, he managed. As darkness claimed him, Thorn felt her fingers interlace with his, 4 digits against 5, a bridge between worlds. Thorn awakened to the soft hum of medical equipment and the sensation of someone holding his hand. Opening his eyes, he found Queen Vexara seated beside his bed, her head bowed in what appeared to be meditation. She wore simpler attire now, a fitted uniform rather than ceremonial robes, yet appeared no less regal. Either I'm dead or we won, he croaked. Her eyes snapped open. You came close to the former, but yes, we achieved the latter. She explained how they'd recaptured the ship while he was unconscious. The Crimson Fang had retreated, though Admiral Vorg had escaped in the chaos. You've been unconscious for 26 hours, she added, belatedly releasing his hand. The medical officer wasn't certain human physiology would respond to our treatments. Humans are stubborn, Thorn tried to sit up, wincing at the pain. Especially this one. Vexara helped him upright, a characteristic I'm growing to appreciate. A chime sounded, and Lieutenant Krell entered with a data tablet. Your Radiance, we've completed analysis of the pirates' communication logs. Thorn noticed the lieutenant's hesitation. What did you find? The attack was not random, Vexara stated, taking the tablet. The Crimson Fang were hired to assassinate me and make it appear as a typical pirate raid. By whom? This is where matters become complicated. She turned the tablet toward him. The communication signature matches Alliance intelligence protocols. Thorn's blood ran cold, the same people who framed me. There's more, she continued. Your name appears in these communications. Package Blackwood delivered as agreed, payment transferred. I was never meant to reach the detention colony, Thorn realized. My transport to your ship was arranged so I'd be blamed for your assassination. A human prisoner kills the Thraxi Queen during peace negotiations, Vexara nodded grimly. War would have been inevitable. Thorne processed this revelation. The question remains, who profits from renewed conflict? Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the ship. The bridge reported 3 pirate vessels approaching. Admiral Vorg's voice soon filled the communications channel. "Return the human prisoner," he demanded, "or watch your ship burn." Despite medical advice, Thorne insisted on joining Vexara on the bridge. The situation was dire. Their weapons systems remained damaged from the initial attack, and the pursuing vessels were gaining rapidly. "He knows we've discovered the plot," Thorne said. "I have to surrender myself." "Absolutely not," Vexara's tone was steel. "There's no logical alternative, Your Majesty." "There is emotion beyond logic, Commander," her voice softened. "I will not sacrifice you." Something unspoken passed between them, a connection transcending species, duty, and the gulf of war that had separated their peoples. Around them, the bridge crew pretended not to notice the tension. When Vorg's forces boarded again, they were met with fierce resistance. But in the firefight, Thorne was separated from the others and captured. Vorg himself conducted the interrogation, revealing the conspiracy extended to the highest levels of both governments, war profiteers who had manipulated both sides for decades. Hours later, as Thorne hung from restraints, bloodied but unbroken, the door to his prison blasted open. Vexara stood in the threshold, alone but resolute. "You came for me," he whispered in disbelief. "As you came for me," she answered, freeing him. "Perhaps that is our destiny." As they fought their way back to her ship, their movements synchronized as if they'd trained together for years. More than allies now, something neither yet dared name but both increasingly couldn't deny. The great hall of luminescence on the Thraxi homeworld buzzed with tension. Queen Vexara stood before the High Council, her formal regalia glinting under crystalline lights. By tradition, she stood alone, yet insisted that Commander Thorne Blackwood be present, a request that had sent ripples of controversy through the assembly. "The evidence is irrefutable," she concluded, after presenting their findings. "Officials from both our governments conspired to sabotage peace for personal gain." Councillor Drelth, eldest of the assembly, leaned forward. "Even if we accept this, the human's presence here violates our most sacred protocols." "Commander Blackwood saved my life multiple times," Vexara countered. "Without him, there would be no queen standing before you, only war." Thorne observed silently from his position at the chamber's edge. 3 weeks had passed since they defeated Admiral Vorg and exposed the conspiracy. In that time, something profound had developed between them. Moments of connection in quiet ship corridors, conversations that lasted until dawn, the gradual dissolution of boundaries between duty and desire. The council deliberated, voices rising and falling in the musical Thraxi language. Finally, Drelth spoke. "The human may be innocent of treason, but he remains an outsider. What do you propose, Your Radiance?" Vexara straightened, her voice carrying the weight of royal authority. "I am appointing Commander Blackwood as human ambassador to the Thraxi Dominion, with full diplomatic privileges." Gasps echoed through the chamber. "And," she continued, "as my personal protector." The uproar was immediate. Tradition dictated that no non-Thraxi could serve in the royal household. Yet as the arguments raged, Vexara's eyes found thorns across the chamber, conveying what words could not. Later, on a private balcony overlooking the capital's crystal spires, they finally spoke freely. "Ambassador and protector," Thorne mused. "Quite a promotion from prisoner." "You've earned it," Vexara replied, stepping closer, "though the second title is somewhat unofficial." "And what exactly does a personal protector do?" he asked, his voice lowering. "Stays close," she answered, her four-fingered hand reaching for his 5. "Always." Their fingers intertwined, different yet complementary like their worlds. "The Council will never fully accept this," Thorne cautioned. "They don't need to understand, they only need to observe the results." She moved closer still. "Peace between our peoples begins with us." "Is that what this is? Diplomacy?" he asked, his free hand gently tracing the contours of her face. "It began as necessity," she admitted. "It evolved into respect. Now I believe it has become something neither of our languages has proper words for." The silver moonlight bathed them as their lips met, human and Thraxi, former enemies discovering the universal language of connection. Their kiss deepened, hesitation giving way to certainty. When they finally parted, Vexara smiled, not the measured expression of a queen, but something genuine and unguarded. "Tomorrow we sign the peace accord," she said, "a new chapter for both our peoples." "And for us?" Thorn asked. "Our story is just beginning," she promised, drawing him close again. "A most improbable tale that will change the stars themselves." Above them, the night sky stretched infinite with possibility, as the silver-green queen and her human protector embraced their shared destiny, former prisoner and monarch united by chains far stronger than those that had once bound them. Chains forged not of metal, but of valor and heart.